Hi folks, I'm Nate with Two Guys in a Ride, and today we're here in New Ulm, Minnesota, and we're here at the Antique Automobile Club Grand Nationals Zenith Awards Show, and we're here with John. John, thanks for spending your time with us. You have a very unusual car behind us. Would you tell us what you have?
Well, it's a 1917 Locomobile, and Locomobile built only chassis. They did not build bodies.
Okay.
And Locomobile, in their attempt to reach the upper crust,
Yeah.
elected to hire a designer, and the designer's name is J. Frank DeCause, and he was schooled at Culinary Studios, Paris.
Oh, wow.
So World War I is going on when they brought him into the United States.
Okay.
And they meaning Locomobile, set up DeCause in an office in New York City and in Boston, with the sole purpose of contacting and being available to the upper crust so that he could design bodies for them.
Okay.
And this particular design here is of the world's first dual collider windshield.
Wow.
The first dual collider windshield concept was built in 1916 for a gentleman by the name of Potter out of Rhode Island.
Okay.
This design here was built for Louis Liggett of Rexall Drugstores,
Okay.
and it was his wife, Busa Liggett, who worked with DeCause in the design and concept of the car.
Okay.
DeCause would draw the pictures of the vehicles on a wall that's 10 foot high by 20 feet long, drawn to scale,
full scale,
and colorized. Now,
Wow.
Now these are the colors of Locomobile, or of Rexall Drugstore.
I was going to ask, if this was the original colors that they used on the car here, and it is.
It is. Yeah, we have original panels on it.
Wow. How long have you been working on this car?
I started the restoration in 1997 and finished it in 1997 to 2018.
Wow.
So roughly 20 years.
20 years.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. That takes some perseverance.
Well, it had 97,000 miles on it. Some people might have said that it was a parts car, but the design of the vehicle, dual collider windshield, in its history meant that it needed a restoration. So that's why I went into it.
And this is not your first car you restored either.
But back to the color.
Yeah.
The original color chips are a Locomobile color chip. The color chips were found also in the collection of a fellow by the name of Austin out of New York City.
Okay.
And his archivist was Beverly Ray Kimes. And there's one other Locomobile that's painted this color. Now back here, if I can get a hold of Ed, we have a panel that came off the car in this color.
Oh, really? So you did a lot of research just to make sure you had authentic parts, authentic colors.
We have the original order, the original rendering of the vehicle from the Bridgeport History Center, Bridgeport Public Library. Margaret Wren cataloged that, archived it in 2017. Now, I knew who the people were that had originally owned the car verbally from the second owner, but didn't have it in writing. In 2017, we got that information. So we have documentation on the body and the order. We have documentation on the chassis and its delivery May 12th, 1917. We have documentation on who the second owner was through a set of license plates.
Oh, man.
I took the set of license plates that were in the side compartment to a DMV in Boston area, Southborough, Mass, and wound up tracking down who it was, and it was a fellow by the name of James Damone. He had Damone and Harding auto business, entire business. The grandson of Harding was 16 years old when this car was driven on Main Street in Southborough in the late 40s.
Okay.
I met Mr. Harding.
Oh, wow.
He says, come into my basement, I have spare parts. So he had the original magneto as an example. He had ribbons, he had hill climb information on it. I share this only from the standpoint of the history of the vehicle,
Yes.
and the documentation on it. The third owner was a fellow up in New Kingston, New York,
Okay.
where I wound up getting this particular car.
Well, I tell you what, it's always fun, I think, for our viewers and for us to learn about the history, not only to see the car, but to learn about the history. And you've done such a nice job. Now, we were talking about the paint earlier. Tell us what you did on the wheels, because you did something special on the wheels when you painted them, so...
Well, the center portion of the wheel is called a felloe.
Yep.
And that's where the spokes come together.
Okay.
And when you're painting, you build the paint up between the spokes.
Okay.
As the car is driven, the paint is going to flex and fly off in chips. So to overcome that, you literally, if there's 8 coats of paint on it, you take a no-wax dental floss and you cut the joint at about 20 minutes after the first coat.
Okay.
At a point of tackiness. So you do not have contact on the paint from spoke to spoke.
Man.
Now this was done in probably about 10 years ago, the wheels. And there's no evidence.
At all. I'm just so impressed with the level of detail that you went to on this. I mean, and it's very, very obvious that you thought very carefully about all those things. Now, I'm assuming you had somebody paint the car for you, or did you actually do it yourself?
The final coat was done professionally.
But you did the other ones?
I did the body work up through what is called sandable primer.
Oh man, let me tell you, you got a steady hand. Oh my goodness! Now
the wheels I did myself. I didn't have anybody touch the wheels, but the fenders and the body were top coated.
That's incredible. We were talking about the color of the fenders because you said when you take it outside, it changes color.
Right.
So what is that actual color?
Deep slate blue is
okay. And so what? Right in here, it kind of looks. It's kind of got a grayish look, but when you go outside, it turns more to a
blue side.
A blue.
Yep,
oh my
blue.
gosh! Now, up on the cowl up here, you've got some little driving lights that are on either side.
Cowl lights. Yeah.
I love those.
Yeah.
Oh, those are just
dainty.
Yes,
dainty.
That's a good word for them. Now, you have storage compartments that I've never seen on a car before like that. I mean, usually the storage was a luggage rack on the back. You put a steam trunk on it.
The front one on this side, which is the passenger side, is set up for tools.
Okay.
The second compartment is all set up for tools. The third compartment is actually an access to the grease fixture for the rear spring gusset.
Okay, and then let's walk around to the other side because there are some different storage areas here, and you have something, I think, incredibly unusual. But when you were selling to the upper crust, this might have been something you wanted to have.
Well, to explain this, I'll have to open the compartment. And what we're going to be looking at is a T-handle.
Okay.
That T-handle is connected to a 2-cylinder air compressor pump, which operates off the clutch. So if you need to pump up a tire, you've got about 18 foot of hose and a gauge.
That is unreal. Talk about luxury. Oh my gosh. That is just incredible. And then this second storage compartment was just storage?
Well, it's storage, and I've got electrical cutouts in there.
Okay.
Yep.
And then the third one was an access panel again.
For grease.
Okay.
Grease
all right. Let's. I'm gonna hold your mic for a minute. And let's take a look at the engine.
Put your sunglasses on.
I left them in the car. Oh. All right.
The crankcase is solid bronze. And if you can get a good look at that, you'll see that it's... Now, back when they poured that bronze casting, back in 1916 when the casting is on here, they used a process of degasifying. So the casting is poured, it's buried in sand to take the heat off, and typically castings will have little air pockets in it.
Okay.
So if you try to sand it out, you're going to wind up with, oops, there's a hole. But the process back then, and their talent back then, was to put on a chemical that looks like lime.
Okay.
And it pulls the gas out. So if you get a good look at that, you will not see any little potholes in it. It shines up like a piece of jewelry.
Oh, I tell you, it's just beautiful. And that's wood across the top.
That is for the distribution of the ignition wires, yes.
Do you have the volume on the monitor on? We're getting feedback.
No, it's a fan and here it's squeaking.
Okay. All right.
Now, in here is a one-cylinder air compressor.
Okay.
That operates off the intake cam.
Okay.
That one-cylinder air compressor pressurizes the gas tank for fuel delivery to the carburetor. To start the vehicle, before the engine is running and before the gas tank is pressurized, there's an air pump in the dashboard, just like a bicycle air pump. And there's a gauge in there that would show how many pounds pressure you got in the gas tank. When you get up to about a pound, pound and a half, hit the starter, hit a little spritzer, and it shoots some gas into the cylinders, and it fires over.
So a surefire way of starting.
Pretty much, yeah.
Wow.
Early fuel pump.
Early fuel pump.
Now, about how much horsepower would this have been rated at?
It's 82 horsepower.
82. Isn't that amazing?
Yeah. Well, it's 550 cubic inches, so your cylinders are around 5.25 inches, and the stroke is around 5.5 inches.
Wow. All right. Well, we could look at that all day. Let's move on here a minute.
Are you up to a funny story?
Sure.
The first time the car was shown was in March of 2019 at Amelia Island.
Okay.
And two individuals about your sizes got into an argument. And the argument consisted of as follows. It's got to be vinyl interior. It can't be leather because there are no blemishes. And to settle the argument, you'll never guess what they did.
What did they do?
One guy went up and he licked the leather.
Okay.
And he says, okay, it's leather. My son-in-law picked the guy up and moved him.
Yes.
But the answer to that is, if you want leather that is not scored, you got two sources, either Italy or Scotland. There's no barbed wire.
That's, you know, we talked on another car, we talked to someone about that, and they had mentioned the same thing.
Yeah.
Because they got theirs from Scotland, but it was the barbed wire. They did the sheet, don't run into.
So we ordered a sample from each
Okay.
country. We asked for full dye all the way through the leather. What came from Scotland was topically dyed. What came from Italy was dyed all the way through. So
That's what you got.
that's what we got.
Well, it is absolutely beautiful. Oh my gosh. Let's talk about just you got so many little gauges and buttons in here, John. Can you run us through kind of basically going from left to right what we would have had here?
After you have pressurized your gas tank, if you hit this little button right here, that will shoot a little bit of gas into each of the cylinder wells.
Okay, that's what we were talking about earlier. Okay, that's the switch for that.
Then you would put it onto distributor,
Okay.
hit your starter, and it turns over very slow. It's about 650 RPM.
Okay.
Once it's fired up, then you put it over into dual ignition, so you're running both the magneto and the distributor, and the engine idles out a lot better. Here you've got your air gauge.
Okay.
So when I pump the tank up, initially before the engine starts, I have to wait until this gauge gets up to about 1.5 pounds.
Okay, that's the pump. Okay, built right in.
Then after that, the air pump on the intake cam takes over.
Okay.
So we've already covered the magneto and the electronic. Of course, now, there were 97,000 miles on the car when I got it, and I'm leaving that
there as the mark.
as
Okay, I
the
see
mark.
that.
So it has a tripometer on it.
Okay.
Clock, your speedometer, you get your voltmeter, oil gauge, and of course your keys. Now the key, you can lock out your lights.
Okay.
Lock out your ignition.
Man, the chrome work. That's
no.
No. Is it steel? Stained?
Nickel.
It's nickel.
This is the nickel era.
Oh, yeah. Nickel plated.
So there's a latch in here that we have to unlatch to release the cowl.
Okay.
And we have to undo the windshield, hold it down. There are 2 hinges and 1 cam.
Okay.
And I was very reluctant to depend upon the cam initially.
Okay.
Because you got old metal and what is the tensile strength and so forth.
Yeah.
But as you can see today, we don't have any problem with that.
Wow. Oh boy, that goes right up.
So for the person to get in the back seat, someone opens the door.
And you just climb it. Well, you got a spacious area. Plus you had, what, 2 glove compartments?
2 glove compartments.
And locking ones. In case you didn't want the other passenger knowing what you had in yours.
The photographer look at the sill plate, which shows that the bodybuilder was Farnham and Nelson Wagon Works in Brookline, Massachusetts.
Man.
The original of that was naturally well worn.
Oh, yeah.
So through photography, we digitized what it was, and then we used a electroless process of burning the lettering into brass and then plated it.
Oh, man. That is just beautiful. I mean, it's just all of the painstaking detail.
It took a while.
It
took a while.
Well, yeah, 20-some years, but it shows. It shows. Now, we were talking about this earlier, John, but this particular car won the full Zenith.
This particular car, yes, there were 18 cars selected.
No, but let's back up a little bit because it wasn't just 18 cars. This started a while ago this year. There was how many cars to start with that were considered? About a couple thousand.
In the AACA judging system, they have probably, in a typical year, about 3,000 cars that are reviewed. 2 cars are selected from each of 8 divisions.
Okay.
8 shows, spring, fall, so forth. And of those, typically 16 cars, there are 18 here though.
And then yours.
And well, this particular year was selected for the Zenith, the full Zenith, yeah.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
And it's obvious why. Oh my gosh. Now, did the top part come down, or was that always up?
Well, the top part comes down.
Okay, it does come down. Okay. We don't need to put it down.
And there's a top boot that goes onto it.
Okay.
So it looks really low and sleek with the second windshield up and the top down.
Oh, I bet it does. I bet it does.
Now there is a tarp that will go from the back of the cape top up to the studs over the front of the windshield.
Oh, sure. Right where that's what they're for.
So that gives a little bit of protection to the
driver and the rest of the passengers.
Yeah. Yeah.
Congratulations on winning the Zenith Award, the full Zenith Award at the show. That's just what an accomplishment. You are obviously a man of detail, and also you have an artistic touch to see all the little things that needed to be done in this car. So thank you on behalf of our viewers and everyone else for bringing this car back to life.
Thank you. Enjoy.
Thank you. Thanks for watching.